What's up, man?
What's going on? Good to see you, man.
Yeah, yeah, just working on some plans for these this new thing I'm gonna get. It's called the Waste Spot.
Waste bot?
Yeah, it's invention by this guy named Ben Peterson, and he invented this little device so that you can take waste plastics and transform them into diesel fuel.
Nice. That is awesome. Wow, when was that created? When did he do that?
He had one version that was out maybe a couple years ago, and then he redesigned it so that it could be like a desktop version that a small community or an individual could have in their home,
Yeah.
and then you could basically you can recycle every piece of waste plastic that you have at your own household and convert it into something usable for diesel fuel.
Wow.
So,
Yeah, because I don't have a filter, like a water filtration system in my home, so I've just been doing like plastic bottles for now, which is
mhm.
unfortunate, but I don't want to do tap water, but yeah, I have like so many plastic bottles. It's unbelievable that I've used, Like unfortunately, like I've recycled them, but yeah, it's like because I've heard of doing like some sort of stuff with plastic, but I've never heard of biofuel, and that's awesome, man.
Yeah, this is gonna be a pretty big deal. I plan on doing educational videos about the technology, and then starting to play with different types of plastics and stuff, and recording that all and getting it out on the internet, and just kind of teaching about it.
Wow.
And yeah, I think it's going to be kind of a new paradigm in waste management, really.
Yeah. I mean, especially since they have the ability to use like hemp for plastics, which allows it to be biodegradable. But as a transition tool, like this is a perfect invention that we can at least utilize for now for all the people justifiably who are upset about the plastics and the oceans and all those things. So yeah, that's excellent. Yeah, because I was about to ask you like some things that you've been doing and just right out the gate. It's awesome. By the way, everybody, this is Nicholas Peter, and I'm here interviewing my friend Greg Doud. I met this gentleman at an Arkadelphia in September, and yeah, we're just having a conversation. Going to be asking some questions, just having a little talk, and of course, I'm going to have you plug your YouTube channel and all your other channels, and I'm definitely going to have those in the description if anyone wants to check out his stuff. So, yeah. So, what else besides the plastic converter?
Oh, well, I've been busy, man. Once this whole COVID crisis started happening, it just cranked me up to 11 here, and so I have been building steadily on a piece of land that I got, and I purchased a shipping container, and I started to basically move uh, and get started on a workshop on my property on my land. And
How'd you get a shipping container?
so there's a company called Container One out there, and they advertise on Facebook. And so I just called them up and was kind of searching around for prices. A bunch of different people that had shipping containers. There's a local place that sells them too. I don't know exactly, where all these guys are getting them from, but the guys locally, I guess, kind of had a little bit similar prices, but yeah, I ended up going with this outfit called Container One, and they made it really easy. And I had to do a lot of preparation on my property to get that going. I learned a lot from doing that because I did it the wrong way. And learned a lot. Like I said, we ended up uh, attaching my truck to a tractor and putting some logs underneath the container to get it moved to the right position. And after all that, we finally got in the right position. I got it all. We got it all leveled, and Turns out my neighbors, one of the guys, he did carpentry for a long time, and so he had a lot of the tools. I also got a lot of homestead buddies that are down here in Alabama around my area that we kind of help each other out, and shared some of these laser level tools with me so that I can make sure that I had it all leveled out and everything. And so we leveled it all out, and then we ended up using, hydraulics to lift the container to the right position. We put wood blocks under it, and then ended up pouring concrete pillars in place once everything was all leveled out and everything. So,
that's not an easy process. Oh man, that's difficult.
Took a little while, and I'm off grid, so I was carrying buckets of water and mixing concrete by hand. So,
oh my God.
So that was a lot of fun, but that's all done, and now it's a bit of a disorganized mess. But I got the shop there, and I got the power with all off grid. I'm all off grid on solar and a battery bank down there, so I can run all the tools I want and run anything I want, really, as far as tools go during the day. I really have to conserve at nighttime, but that's a big part of what's going on, and trying to focus on growing some more food. I have a lot of over 32 fruit trees and some pecan trees, about 6 pecan trees.
And those are all relatively like the same age, like pretty young still? Like those are like fresh trees that you basically planted?
I planted them 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
And then they're doing pretty well. They could use some help. I haven't been down there on the property full time, so
still.
Yeah, still. I'd like to be down there completely full time, but I'm really trying to. I gotta get my act together more seriously on how to build some kind of cash business or something. Good news is close to that land that there's a bar and grill that just opened, so they're going to be looking for fresh vegetables and things like that. So I had a conversation with the people that own the place, that own the restaurant, and they were super excited when I told them that I was planning on growing a large garden and having a farm there. So it's just I got to get more serious about getting all that cranked up, and things are moving along. It's just moving along, kind of slowly. And so yeah.
Dude, you're doing an excellent job. Believe me. Like since September, like I've been I wasn't really making any content, wasn't really doing much, wasn't too for some reason I wasn't motivated. You'd think I'd have more motivation coming from the conference, but I mean, I already told you all that stuff. But like even recently, like I'm still battling with some stuff, especially emotionally, and then just my brain hasn't been working really well. I've been having like some numbness for like months, not as bad really much anymore, but I've just been like just learning, like just doing stuff like learning. It's like it's almost like I have to like push myself just to do stuff like that, just basic stuff. Like thankfully I've been out in the garden. I've been doing a lot of cannabis for sure. I've been doing I've gotten clones from a neighbor. I'm also making my own clones. There's like 50 of them. So I'm going all out with cannabis this year for sure. Cool. But besides that, like I like a lot more like practical stuff like around like my community or something like that, like passing out some flyers. Like I still haven't done any of that stuff. Just my confidence, it's like I can see someone else doing it. I can believe in them with all my heart. But then when it comes to me, it's just like I'm so like scared, and just getting my feet on the ground and talking to people. Like there's so many like-minded people I can just find around my area that I don't even know, and I won't know until I do that. So I definitely have the most respect for you, man. Like ever since I met you, I was just like, geez, this guy's got his act together. He's like on point. Like don't sell yourself short at all, man. You're doing phenomenal. You're traveling like how far to go to work, and then you have to also go down to the homestead to check up on that, make sure everything's good there. So it's like you're doing a lot, man. You're doing a lot. So just keep it up.
But I appreciate it. And yeah, yeah, it's just taking one bite at a time. And, you know, I've struggled with that same stuff, man. And really, it's just, for me, it's about getting myself more organized and just getting better at time management, really. And that's something I've been trying to work on big time. And that has helped. It's helped me get more things accomplished, is to actually sit down like once a week and try to fill up a calendar. And, I recently that came from a mentor of mine, doing some personal training, some physical training work with him.
Awesome.
And yeah, that was his advice to me, was to kill the white space on your calendar and basically plan out your entire day, plan out every day and kill the white space. And then, if it's on your calendar, you got to stick to it, and you just do it.
Wow. So you fill out a whole month?
Yeah, you fill it all up. And some things are recurring. You got to get up, you got to eat breakfast, you got to, feed your animals or whatever. I got quail going right now. So I got about, 32 quail right now. I lost some. I started with like 50 and now I'm down to like 32.
Oh man. Is it just from picking from like a hawk or something, or?
No, it's just, I probably had him a little bit in kind of a cramped space to begin with, and then I transported him a couple times when I shouldn't have. So I'm sure I stressed him out a little too much. And then, so yeah, this is my first time raising quail, and I just kind of don't, a lot of this is kind of like learning process. So anyway, I got about 32 now. I had a little scare yesterday, or a couple days ago, with a snake.
Oh,
I had to get the snake out of the quail cage, but
it was in there. Oh man.
Yeah, it had just started crawling in there, and I showed up at the right time and I got it out of there. But yeah, it's I just started with quail and starting to learn about how to raise them properly and stuff. I recently just made a little water for them, so I don't have to go out there and refill their water in the little water container I had every day. So it's like a 5-gallon container, and it drips down into some cups, and then they can get, fresh water out of that, and I don't have to worry about filling it up as often. So
yeah. So how is because I know you're still doing videos, right? And so how has that been on the other platforms? 'Cause I know YouTube's just horrific. Even in my case, like I've been getting more subscribers. I'm not sure why. Like I haven't been uploading stuff in like past 2 months, but it might have been from like audiobooks or something I uploaded. But like right now I have almost 500, and it's none of my stuff's getting views besides maybe like those audiobooks and stuff. But yeah, so it's like maybe like 20, 30 views, if that. A lot of my natural cure stuff for sure isn't getting anything. It's like under 10 a view or a video. So like how's it been for you, like at least, because I know YouTube sucks, but like how about on the other platforms? Have you been having good success there at all?
I post a Hive recently, that's really where I started to do my stuff, was on Steemit. And recently Steemit forked into the Hive, and now there's still Steemit and there's Hive now. And the Hive community is more like the grassroots people that were on Steemit, that were, really believed in the, kind of keeping it decentralized, keeping it censorship free and all that kind of stuff. And Justin Sun, the guy that runs the Tron token, he's in China, and they started to do some censorship stuff on Steemit. And so a lot of people in that community are migrated, the core community of people that believe in, keeping it censorship free and getting information out to people, created the Hive blockchain. It's just a fork. It's like a hard fork of Steemit, but it's separated off and created Hive. And so I post my blog posts up there. They do pretty well, but I've kind of been building an audience there for a while, and been doing regular podcasts. Some of my blog stuff has been falling behind, and trying to keep up with everything that I got going on. So I'm not doing my regular posts, but the last couple posts I put up there did really well. But really, when you get on those platforms like the Hive community, it really is about networking with people and really trying to, interact with a lot of people in the community and just stay engaged. And because all of your content gets upvoted by the community, and so if people don't know about you, or you're just starting out on there, it's kind of hard to gain traction. But once you kind of get to know people on there, you got to maybe talk with them in some of the Discord chat rooms or whatever, then you get more exposure. The more upvotes you get, the better off you do there. So yeah, I encourage everyone that wants to start making a little bit extra on their content to go definitely check out the Hive and Hive blockchain and hive.blog. And if you need any help with that, you can reach out to me and I can help you get started. I run a Discord group where I have a lot of like-minded people in there that we just try to help each other out. And that goes along with your posts and your post promotions. So I try to share people's posts around that get in the Discord channel and are active and are, wanting to get their content out to more people. So yeah, if anybody's interested, it's a great way to, just monetize your content a little bit. And just like you said, with YouTube, they're shadow banning a lot of people. A lot of people have really good content, but they're not getting exposure out there. You definitely need to be getting your content out to other places. And there's things like DTube, there's library.tv now, which I really like library as far as keeping your content decentralized. I like BitChute as well. I think the videos just like really do a really good job on playing on there. And I have accounts on those places, but I haven't made any posts to BitChute or library. My posts are going on DTube and then on YouTube right now. So those are the main places where I have my content, and then also on Hive. So yeah, it takes a little bit to get, just like with everything, it takes a little bit to get started. But yeah, I really think that especially if you're just starting out creating content, to definitely get on the get onto these crypto blog sites and stuff like Hive and library.tv and just start earning some cryptos. And it's a really good way of getting going, because when you monetize on YouTube, it really takes, you have to have a groundswell of followers to even get even a minor payout. So not to say that putting your content up on that site isn't a good idea. I like to get it on there just to get it out to more people. But yeah, it's very difficult, especially if you're just starting making content to make anything off of your content there. So
yeah, and I've like with BitChute, I've tried uploading like a lot of stuff on there. There's sometimes it's just nice and easy, it uploads, it's not a problem. But then there's sometimes where it's just like stuck in process and publish, and it's just stuck there. I have to literally delete the video and re-upload it again, which is a pain in the ass, especially with some videos. But so I've had it's a lot of misses with BitChute. I had to redo it a lot of times, so it's been iffy, but I get a good amount of views. There's one called BitTube. I'm not sure if that is a cryptocurrency one at all, but I've heard about it. I've been posting some stuff on there. It seems really nice. It is like a YouTube of sorts, so where you can like window mode and all these other things, like nice little features on that one. So that one's good. I didn't even realize Hive was a fork off of Steemit.
Yeah,
I have heard of Hive, and when you mentioned it, I was like, okay. But then, because I remember my brother years ago talking about Steem and saying, "Oh, that's so centralized. Like it's gonna have to be like censored at some point. Like something's gonna happen." So like my brother never even got into it. But the fact that they forked, that's a great sign. That means that the people that had the good intentions to begin with are the ones that are at least keeping that like spirit alive with Hive. So that's awesome.
Yeah, and well, that is the cool part about the code. It's open source, so anybody can just like copy paste that code. And I mean, several iterations that have been, forked off of the Steemit code, and people have created their own versions. There was whale shares, and then there was like smoke.io, which is totally about cannabis. You might want to check that one out. And then, there's different versions created for, all kinds of communities and people that were just like not liking what was going on in Steemit. So, that's the cool thing about it is it's all open source. So anybody can go off and do their own thing if they want to. So,
Yeah, exactly. That's what's so great about it. That's exactly what's like Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. Like me and my brothers are pro Bitcoin Cash, and like still have a lot of problems with like the direction that they're trying to go with it. But because it's supposed to be, it should be about like the platforms and the UI and making sure everything is on top or on the same level or higher than like the Googles and the YouTubes and the like everything else. You want things to be running properly, like any sort of software or any sort of wallet. You want to make sure it's nice and doesn't have that many bugs, user friendly, all that stuff. So like that's the problem that we're having right now is a lot of it's just so many hoops that you have to jump through, and it's people just want, like with email, no one knows really how email works really. It just works, and you don't really have to think about it. It's just everything's going on behind the scenes, nice and easy and seamless. So like that's the real problem that's going on with crypto right now is just the lack of what do you call it? Where it's just nice and easy, efficient, nice and efficient, and just not many problems. So
yeah, the fundamental thing behind it and what's so powerful about it is it can be confiscated. So, that whereas the IRS can dip into your paycheck and, withhold money from your paycheck, or they can dip into your bank account, or, all of these things will try taking your cryptos. They can go pound sand.
Yeah, I know. And even in real life, like I would love to see one of these police officers try to come and take my plant. It's like, oh, dude, I'm dying before you're doing that. I'm sorry. Like people have told me, like, it's just a plant, dude. Like, it's not worth the risk. Or if they were to break it or destroy it or whatever. I'm like, no. It's like, no. I know that I'm not doing anything wrong. And if I just let them do it and say, okay, sorry, I'm just so scared of you guys. You guys can do it then. No, like they're wrong. I'm right. They're just completely brainwashed. Like I've had the past 2 years, I've had my plants destroyed in some way from either someone that was painting the side of my house, or if it was just a passerby just breaking the branches off. Like nothing else gets touched. It's just those cannabis plants because they think that I'm the one that's wrong. I'm the one that's doing something wrong, apparently. So, yeah, just in terms of like anything,
growing a plant.
Yeah, it's if anything, it's helping out the environment more than my other plants. It's giving out 4 times as much oxygen, or intaking 4 times as much carbon dioxide. I can't remember which one, but it's either way,
Okay.
And it's great for the soil. Like it doesn't create any deficiencies at all. It maintains the right levels and all that stuff. It's just so excellent. Even besides the smoking, like that doesn't matter. Eat the leaves, make a tea out of the out of the stems. There's a lot of stuff you can do with it. And then you can obviously grow CBD, which is one of the strains I'm growing, which is Charlotte's Web. So I've been doing that. But yeah, just like with anything, it's like them trying to dip their hands in, and trying, especially when we're not doing anything wrong. It's just unbelievable, some of the stuff. Like
Andy brought up a really good point. Is that we kind of live in our society where there's a lot of Karens around that like to go tattle on people and stuff like that, and they can't just mind their own business either. So that's a big problem in our society as well. I think is that people want to push their view of morality on people, and they want to use the force of the state against peaceful people that aren't bothering anybody. So
I'm sure they feel the same way as me. They're scared of confronting someone and maybe having that face-to-face conversation, and it's going to be uncomfortable and awkward. Maybe some yelling. They don't want to deal with it. Just easier just to dial a phone and just say, hey, these guys are doing this. Take care of it for me. I feel so good about myself,
Yeah, that's really what it is. And people giving up their own personal responsibility to some other entity. So that's really a big problem of what we're facing in the state of the world right now.
Yeah. And like in a time where you're going like all the way up to like 11 since this coronavirus stuff and really pushing yourself, like I had that for a few weeks, and all of a sudden just like, almost with everything else. It's like I get burnt out so quickly. Like I have like a couple weeks of getting some videos done. I feel good. I'm like, yeah, I'm getting some things accomplished. I'm happy about myself, you know, and then all of a sudden it's just like, like I'm down in the dumps, or maybe my brain's not working that great and I don't feel good, or what, my energy levels suck. So it's just like, just so many things are working against me for some reason. I get so passionate and then it drops off, and then passionate drops off. But with you, you've just been so consistent, and it's, especially with the organization. I remember talking to you a couple months ago on the phone. You were telling me how you were trying to start making goals and being more organized and having things more laid out so that you don't have wasted time, you know?
Well, I appreciate those words, but I got a lot to work on, man, too. And it is a constant struggle, man. It really is. You know, personal development is the work that we all should be doing. And it really is, you know, healing past traumas. There's past traumas that are, you know, a lot of times holding us back from where we should really be. And then, yeah, just kind of that voice in your head that is just telling you that you're not good enough. But a lot of that comes from doing the work. A way to alleviate those issues that I've found is just to take action. And through the action brings you in the present moment, and that present moment is where you become, I guess you could call it in the zone. But when you're taking the actions, you get those things done, you get them crossed off your checklist, you're getting those small wins, and those small wins keep stacking. And so that's you know, kind of another thing that I'm learning now is that you got to win your morning, and you got to try to win every morning, because as soon as you don't win that morning, then the rest of the day is thrown off, and you get behind, and you're just not making the progress that you want to see. And so a big part of it is to just try to discipline yourself to have kind of a morning ritual, whether that be some kind of like time that you take to write down your intentions for the day, time that you take to do some meditation. This is something that we talked about with my trainer, and he said all the top CEOs, they take 30 minutes of their morning in silence by themselves to plan out their day and to write down what they want to accomplish in the day, and then take that time just for themselves, just to be, you know, in with their thoughts, and to get in the right mood for the day, and to move forward in a positive direction, get those things accomplished. So I think that's a very useful skill for everybody out there that's, you know, just, you know, struggling to make the things in their life happen. I think if you win the day, then those little wins, keep stacking those little wins. They give you that energy to keep going.
Yeah. And like, as a perfect example, like I have like a little booklet, you know, so like I have my goals.
Yeah,
and
that's
so,
great.
Start compost tea, appreciate the people around you, take a walk outside, be in the garden, you know, like, and especially if you're just starting out and you're in that slump, you know, like I've totally been in and consistently am in. Like, it's good just to get those, like you're saying, like the wins and the small wins, you know? So like those little easy things, like taking a walk outside, there's nothing really much to it. Like just getting small things done and being able to cross it off and saying, okay, boom, you know, that's one thing. That's good. And then maybe next week or the next day, you can do the same thing and add one more thing, or just keep doing that same thing, the same couple things, you know, and just get used to doing those. And then you can start adding on to it. And that's the thing with me. Like it's almost like my patience has thinned, and then also my attention span has like worsened. So it's like I'm so scatterbrained sometimes, or for the most part, you know. And it's like my room can be a reflection of that at times. A lot of the times, you know, like like one thing's at like 20%, one thing's at almost done, and then like one thing's halfway done. It's like I'm not taking the time to just do one thing, complete it, you know, and then just moving on to the next thing, or just doing a little tiny piece on my desk, you know, just a small space, a little shelf on my desk, you know, just start with something like that. And it's way easier said than done, but it's, you know, even for me, it's like I still have to start doing that more. Like I've been doing journaling for over a year. I've been able to really get a good sense of issues I'm having, especially mentally, and just problems. And so that's been helping me a lot. And I'm glad I've been able to do that. Sometimes I it's a couple days and then I have to catch up a bit and I forget some things that's happened. But for the most part, I've been really, really consistent on it. And that's been able to help me, like I said, find out some weaknesses and things I gotta work on. But I also wanted to ask you about, because we're talking about like self-help basically. Like, what are some books? Like, have you read any sort of books on like self-help or leadership or anything that you think would be a valuable read for anyone?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, one of the ones that I think is really great, especially for men, is a book called King, Warrior, Magician, Lover, and that was written by I think his name is Roger Moore, and that's a really good one. It kind of goes through the different archetypes of masculinity, and it kind of gets into like Carl Jung's psychology about kind of facing the shadow version. So with each one of those archetypes, there's also a equal shadow archetype of the king, the warrior, magician, and lover. And so yeah, especially if you're a guy, that's one of the big ones I can recommend. um and then there's another great one by Mike Cernovich that's called The Gorilla Mindset, and that one's all about mindset, and it's kind of going back to some of the stuff of kind of Marcus Aurelius and Stoicism. And one of the big kind of takeaways I got from that book was that there's a couple of good quotes in there. There's a quote that's like the motto of the Army Rangers, which is "You embrace the suck." And so that one's like whenever you're like deep into a painful or stressful situation, you pretty much just like let it totally wash over you and just become one with the pain, and and you just keep pushing through it. Like, just take one step in front of the other, just keep on trudging through it, and become one with it. And then you can just kind of keep pushing through. And these are mindset techniques. And one of the other great ones that's in the book is it's from the samurai. The samurai used to have a meditation upon death, and they would meditate upon all the different ways that they could die, through like drowning, being stabbed to death, being strangled, being tortured, all those different ways that you could die. And it would give them more confidence in life, because they would meditate that they were already dead, so they could basically do anything in life because they were already dead.
Wow.
That's another big takeaway from the book. But yeah, those two books are really, really great type self-development mindset kind of things that I've gone through.
Perfect. Yeah, because for me, I've read this book, The Happiness Trap. I'm gonna link it in the description anyway. I'm gonna have it. It's on archive.org. You can get it for free digitally. And yeah, it talks about, it's almost kind of like embracing the suck. It's kind of like that. It's more observing your thoughts, accepting them, letting them come and go. And like you were saying, like washing over you type of thing, where you're not like battling it as much, but you're more so accepting it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I saw a pretty woman, so my brain's going to think this and this. Like, I'm not surprised, it's a nice story, and you're expecting that kind of thing. You're not going to be surprised and trying to have a conversation with yourself and saying, oh, don't think that, or be positive, or, like what is that? Positive reinforcement, all that stuff. Those are all like control strategies, which end up failing at some point, and the more accepting and, hey, it's just let it roll over you, embrace those kind of feelings. Like, you're not expecting the day to go perfect, like, I think those are great ways to go about it, not having to do the battles all the time. So I definitely appreciate the recommendations.
Yeah. And I think, kind of another thing that I've learned, kind of going through my life is to take it easy on yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself all the time, and just let what other people think of you go. I mean, whenever you're going to produce some content or, build something, and especially building, because a lot of the stuff I put out there, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just, a lot of the stuff I'm learning along the way. And I talk about my lessons learned and things like that. And, the biggest part of my life, I have an engineering background, and when you have that background, a lot of times you try to overcomplicate things. You try to plan things out to the ninth degree, and a lot of times that really holds you back from actually doing anything. And so that was a big hurdle for me to get over. But as soon as I just started to build and not care about what other people were going to think about the outcome of what I was doing, the more I actually got stuff done. And so, and the next time I built it, then it's going to get a little better. And then, that's really a big hurdle to get over, is that fear of what a judgment of others. And, when you can kind of let that go, and just take action, then you're actually going to achieve some things. But unless you take that action, then it'll all be just a thought in your head. You won't be able to manifest it.
Yeah.
Which kind of brings me to another book. I haven't fully read this book, but it was a recommendation to me. It's called Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. And it basically talks about how you can never build something unless you can make it an idea in your mind. You have to create the mental vision of the thing, and you need to plan it out to like the nth degree, like down to the smallest detail. You create this vision in your mind, and you will achieve it. And so it becomes a process of you pulling that vision into the present moment and creating it into reality. But you have to create the vision first. And so, like people, you can never achieve something unless it is an idea in your mind. Like if you keep telling yourself that, oh, I can never, do the off-grid thing and live, off in the woods somewhere or whatever. If you keep telling yourself that, well, yeah, you're never going to be able to do it. But if you create that in your mind and you put it on paper, and it's a constant reminder and vision that you have, then yeah, you're gonna make that happen. You're gonna pull that reality closer and closer to you by every little thing you do every day to get you closer to that position in your mind. So that's another one I could recommend, that Cybernetics.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna try to. I'm going to have all those in the description for sure. I'm gonna try to see if I can find like some free versions or something like that too. But yeah, it's excellent. So what have you been doing? Like, what's some upcoming things you got going on? Because you got the quail and all that stuff. You're still working on that. Obviously, they're going to be growing and things like that. But
yeah, recently upcoming, I'm helping my friend Robbie get kickstarted with his new website that's going to be coming out pretty soon. And we're working on a way to market that to a bunch of people. And that's going to be for people that are interested in learning how to do things like, basic building techniques and doing, their own backyard aquaponics systems. And so he's got some plans he's put together, as well as he's got some cool stuff he's putting together that I'm kind of helping him with, as far as like at least getting the word out there, marketing, things like that, through my social media and stuff. And so that's going to be coming out pretty soon. He's about to be ready for people to come check out his website and everything like that. I don't want to tell anybody yet. He's not ready for people to head to the website yet. So we talked about that recently, but that's coming up pretty soon. I'm also steadily building footage so that I can create an online educational course. And what I'm going to be doing is called Skillshare Sundays. And this is going to cover things like aquaponics design, solar system basics, some stuff about permaculture design, and then open source machines. So So that's some of the things that I'm steadily working on. I had started building a PDF on the solar trailer that I built, and then some PDF guides on 3D printing. And so that's really the big vision for where I want to go. And then uh, working on a cash business in the background as well with
Man.
building some wood gasifier systems. Um, so the wood gasifier systems are kind of going to be like the kind of the staple cash business that I want to establish, local cash business, and that'll all be kind of tied into the solar stuff because it'll be part of a microgrid system so that you can be, off the power grid, because I see that's one of the big things that a lot of people, and one of the big flaws in our system right now is that we're so dependent on our power grid, and the power grid is it's very weak in design and centralized. So it's something that I talk a lot about on my podcast. I do a weekly podcast, the Meadows and Makers podcast, and we just try to. It's something that I kind of bring up over and over again because, for one, it is extremely empowering to learn how to create your own power and use it. And then, on another hand, who knows when the power gets cut off? Just living through some disasters. We had tornadoes that came through Alabama in 2011. I saw firsthand what happened. Nobody was prepared. Everybody was scrambling to buy generators. People were in lines getting gas. The shit hit the fan and nobody was really ready for it. And that led to quite a bit of turmoil. On the other hand, the people that, were barbecuing the stuff they had in their freezers and just, had a little bit prepared, like, we're collected some rainwater and, had some storable food, had some canned food, different things like that. We're chilling, man, and weren't as worried about what was happening with the power being down and everything. So yeah, I really kind of saw that firsthand in Alabama, and just saw that how much gets affected when you lose power. And
Yeah.
So that's a big thing that I've been working on, just trying to get that information out there so people can take that into their own hands if they so choose.
Yeah. It's super important for sure. So you're talking about renewable energy basically with solar. They actually have a cryptocurrency that's called Renew, and it basically incentivizes people, and you get tokens based on how much output you're producing or how much power you're producing. So like for you, I'm not sure how much you have, but you basically contact them, you tell them, you have to like show that you are producing that energy, and then they basically give you tokens for that. So it's a win for you. You're just accumulating tokens because you're off the grid and producing your own energy. My brother's been getting very much into it. He's actually involved in it to an extent. He's part of he's like the head leader of like one of their groups that they're doing online. But yeah, I'm gonna have my brother send me some more links about it because I want to shoot it towards you since you're already doing that with some solar.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, I remember talking about this early on. Some of the early interviews that I went on Steam, and there was a guy that was working on some kind of token like that, something similar. But the question is, how do you do the payouts? How do you do all that? But yeah, it's totally interesting, and there's lots of opportunities like this, coming up with cryptocurrency technologies. You can basically tokenize anything. So yeah, really cool projects out there. There's one that I came across recently. Is a guy, his name's Kent Dahlgren, and he's doing a project called 214 Alpha. And basically it's a way to have small community governance and create a commerce or an economic model so that, the transactions that happen in the community, the portion of it goes back into the community, instead of, payment processors or whatever that are taking, bits of those transactions away and to the corporations like Visa and MasterCard, Discover, and all those guys. But that money gets siphoned out of your community, and then this is all about keeping those transaction fees. It stays in your community so that you can do different projects or different things like that. And there's some really great stuff out there. And if I really am hopeful about the future, because how close I am to looking at all these technologies and implementing them myself, and talking to different people that are doing really cool stuff. That I'm very hopeful about the future, but it's just everybody's got to realize that we have a world cabal of a small group of elites that are trying to create a control system that is rolling out, and they're basically playing us all against each other. And one of the big ways they do that is by control of our money supply through the control of a Federal Reserve note. And, a great way to free yourself is to just use alternatives and get yourself to be self-sufficient and self-reliant. And so if enough people do that, we build the new system that make the old one obsolete. And we let them just kind of fade away as we'll create something better.
Yeah. Yeah, because they can't really force us. That's what the propaganda is all about. It's getting us to voluntarily do it. A lot of some things, yes, the fear of getting like a ticket or getting arrested. So like your freedom in that sense and your cash in that sense. But overall, yeah, they want to get it to where it's just like we're demanding that they do something about whatever it is, whether it be coronavirus or whether it be the Black Lives Matter stuff. Like even like the Black Lives Matter situation, it can start out with the best of intentions, but then there's so many instances, especially historically, of police and government getting involved and infiltrating and then making a big wreck out of it, and then just basically muddying the waters, and then the true purpose and the true genuine intentions are then disappearing, and then it just becomes a sham and then a great way to divide people. And then it's like, because when they're talking about defunding the police, I remember I saw one of these flyers near my house. And I was like, yeah, let's put it towards the communities. I'm like, yeah, it's great. It makes sense. But then I'm thinking about it more. I'm like, oh, okay, all these cities, these main cities are burning and being destroyed and getting taken over, basically. And it's like, this is a great way for them to say, yeah, we're going to defund the police, put it back into those communities. But then it's going to be in like the CCTV camera, the smart grid type of sense. We're like, yeah, we don't need police because now we have the cameras. And I started hearing James Corbett talk about this too, but I was thinking about it like a week or two before he even mentioned it, because I was like, it just makes a lot of sense for them to do it that way, to where everyone is pumped up and saying, yeah, because even I was agreeing with it for a second. I was like, yeah, it makes sense to do that, but in what way? That's the main problem. It's just like the goals that we have are good, but then it's like just the way we're going about it. Like with security, it's like we don't need to have police. We can do it with private security firms. Like what about mall cops or security guards? Like you don't see them roughing up grandma like at the mall or beating up on people. It's like, no, because they know that they'll be fired immediately. There's actual like accountability. It's just
Right.
like there's simple things that we can do to not have where the government's just more involved. But that's where the problem comes, and that's where the propaganda comes. So.
Absolutely, yeah, and I know. I sat in on one of these BLM meetings locally, and
They had one locally, huh?
Yeah, in Huntsville, and I got invited to one, and I got told it was a bunch of liberty activists, and so I was like, all right, well, I'll go check these guys out, and it was some Black Lives Matter guys, and they were talking about, running for office. One of the guys wants to run for office, and they're talking about, we'll just, we'll take money from the police and we'll put it into public transportation. And I'm like, well, hold on. How are you going to get that money for public transportation still? You're still having to rob from people by increasing property taxes or whatever. And then, is there a real demand for it even, So it's really about changing one form of controller for their idea of control and what they want to do for control. And so, yeah, I just tried to plant some seeds while I was there, and give them more of a free market and liberty perspective on things, and talk more about self-reliance, and starting barter trade networks, starting to do agorist type activities, which is the black and gray markets, where you're trading outside of the government's eye, and you're not using the Federal Reserve note, and you're building community. You're trying to build more community than asking somebody to do something for you, or trying to be the boss over other people and control other people. So yeah, I mean, yeah, these movements and these people getting excited about taking down statues, like I guess that's a way that they think that they can actually do something, and they get kind of a charge out of, yeah, we did something, we took down a statue. But something else I brought up in that meeting was that the history is meant to be learned from. It's not meant to be so that we don't try to repeat the same mistakes of the past. And so a lot of these things, you erase history, then the victors create their own history, and then you don't get to learn. There's nothing to grow from there. So,
and then like one of the main problems is that people just don't see like the root causes of what is causing these things to happen. They're seeing the systemic problems and thinking of it in like as a system way. Oh, we'll use the system that's creating the problem in order to solve the problem, and it's not gonna, like, what's causing crime? I would think it's lack of resources for one, like lack of fundamental resources like food and water. You bet I would try stealing if I was going hungry, from like a store or something like that. And then like, yeah, if especially in like this inner cities, like they don't have access to that many grocery stores, they're pretty far out. It's mostly like 7-Elevens and just, it's a bunch of garbage. Like if I was like, my brain already feels like shit as it is. And I'm avoiding chemicals for years, and I'm gardening, and I'm eating sprouts and doing all this other stuff. And my brain still sucks. Like I get aggravated at my brother for talking to me sometimes, because it's like, I don't even feel like I can like talk to him, because like my brain just doesn't feel good. Like, and I've tried so many things. So like someone in those situations, in a very stressful environment where you're not getting good quality food for years, almost all your life, it's like, you're just asking for problems, and then we're thinking that we just defund the police, and that's going to solve the thing. It's like, no, how about we defund the police? Let's put in technologies to create more food, like vertical farm towers or hydroponic systems. Like what about all these warehouses that are empty, or all this empty space that we have? We can put that towards actually creating food and clean water and stuff. Like that's the main thing that we would need to really solve the crime. And then obviously proper education, and not the shit that we have now, but.
Well, I think the first part is to have people realize that they don't need the state. And in fact, the state is the source of a lot of these problems when they interfere with people's daily lives, and interfere with their ability to interact in commerce, and through regulations and licensures and things like that, you could get a lot more done if you didn't have to go through all the red tape and of bureaucracy and the government force, and the threat of fines and fees if you don't follow their decrees of little writs on pieces of paper that some guy said that made on a piece of paper and then put into effect. So yeah, really it just comes with people need to realize their own power, in that empower yourself with knowledge. And one of the great things to do is to actually understand the legal system as it stands right now. Is this one of the tools that you can do to make yourself kind of like Neo in the Matrix, really, so that you can see the system and the legal system as it stands, and try to attempt to use your power to use their system against them. So one of the things that I'm looking into right now is the whole Uniform Commercial Code of the United States. The United States is actually a corporation, and it has been since 1938. And that it all runs off of Uniform Commercial Code on statutes, and basically everything that you do in the system, it's all a contract, and you still have the power to set terms to the contract. And so a really great book to get anybody that's interested started on that is it's called The UCC Connection: How to Free Yourself from Legal Tyranny. And there's a free version out there that you can download. I found it on consend.org. And you can find the torrent file there. And then it's a short book, but it really has a lot of good information in there on how to assert your rights in the system. One of the big things is UCC 1-308, which is your ability to reserve your rights to not be put into contracts that you are not aware of. And so on any traffic ticket, anything the state wants to give you, fines, fees, or whatever, you make sure to write without prejudice, UCC 1-308. But you need to know what that means. So definitely you have to do your own research and make sure that you are well versed in it and understand the law, because they will question you on it, and you better know what you're talking about. So
yeah, no, especially when you start like talking about codes and all that stuff, they're like, oh, it's one of these guys, because I know that they've dealt with those type of people before. So yeah, you definitely have to be well versed in it.
Well, it's a method so that you don't have to get into confrontations with the police officers if you don't want to, and you can just write that phrase in there, without prejudice, UCC 1-308, and then put your signature underneath that, and that makes sure that you're reserving your rights to not be put into contracts that you're not aware of. And you can deal with it even outside of court. You never have to go to the courtroom if you deal with it in the right way. And so I highly recommend everybody reading that book. It's a short book, but it can help. It can help you.
Awesome. So it was the UCC Connection.
Yep.
Okay.
The UCC Connection.
Consend.org. You can find it. All right. I'm going to get that. Perfect. It's awesome. How has it been down there in Alabama with the whole coronavirus thing? Has it still been pretty or has it gotten worse? Has it gotten better?
Well, I mean, as far as going out and just seeing, people and walking around, normal interactions with people, a lot of people I talk to are tired of the masks, especially the people that work in different grocery stores or whatever. They're tired of wearing the masks. And there was talk about doing mandatory masks here recently in close to the county that I'm by, where I work and everything, in Huntsville. The county of Madison was talking about doing some kind of mandatory mask issuance. But I believe, that they're realizing it's too difficult to enforce that. They haven't put anything on the books as far as mandatory masks are concerned as of yet. I think they may apply to some businesses or something like that is what they're talking about. But this is another issue that the police don't understand is not helping their cause whatsoever. Is if they want to gain any trust of the public, why are they enforcing these people that are being peaceful and these mask orders on businesses and things like that? They're not gaining any favor of the public by enforcing those legislations. And so yeah, I mean, all the people I interact with, it's more of my family that's kind of like freaking out. Like I have some family members that are totally brainwashed by the media that think that this is something to really be concerned about. and they're, healthy young people, so they shouldn't have any issues. But yeah, I couldn't even go to a 4th of July event without my family saying that I had to wear a mask around them. So yeah, it's silly stuff like that. It really makes me sad with my family, but I choose to not even interact with them, I guess, for the most part, unless they want to come, be a part of what I'm doing and down on my property or something like that. But I choose to be around people that aren't afraid and that are doing their own thing. So I spent the 4th of July hanging out with a bunch of Russians, my Russian coworker and his family, and none of them were wearing masks. They're having a good time. We're having food. We're hanging out. We're just singing songs, and I'm trying to translate Russian.
So you went over to their 4th of July get together?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure that food was pretty good, huh?
Oh man, amazing! Did shish kebab lamb and pork, and they have this really good cabbage dish that's really good, and potatoes, and pickled herring. Pickled herring is a big one that they do.
That sounds good.
Yeah. Russians know how to party.
Yeah, I bet. When you were talking about talking to restaurants about your food, and they were excited about that, I would suggest doing the sprouts. If they were interested in doing any sort of sprouts, that easy green sprouting machine that I made a video on a couple months ago. I've just started back up on it again, but oh my God, it's so simple. Literally just keep the reservoir filled with water, clean water, and you just have some bucket to put the excess water in, because it goes through the system and then it comes out like a little tube. But if you have it outside or you have it like in the sink, then you don't even have to worry about a bucket. But God, it's so simple. Like I don't even have to worry about mold. I don't have to worry about doing anything. It grows super quick because it creates like a mist. So it gives it water and oxygen at the same time. So you don't have to rinse your sprouts. You don't have to soak them 24 hours beforehand. It is so simple. It's unbelievable. So if you were to get like multiple of those machines and you have like 5 trays that are filled with sprouts, alfalfa sprouts are great. Broccoli sprouts they don't taste that great to me. But like alfalfa sprouts, mung bean sprouts, freaking fenugreek or whatever else. But yeah, it's just so easy, and you can simply do it. I'm sure you can even make a sprouting machine.
Yeah, I'll seriously look into that because I think microgreens would be a great little thing for their business. And
they're expensive too. Sprouts are expensive if you want to get them even at the store, and they're not even fresh.
Mm-hmm.
Just a small little container, and it's days old.
Yeah, I really think I think that would be good, and definitely in my plans is to have a little a little outdoor stand to have some fresh fruits and vegetables so that people could come by, and if they want to make a donation or something like that, just pick up the stuff and make a donation kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, especially when you got those trees that are going and when they get really old and they're actually producing a lot. Oh my God.
Yeah.
You're going to have way more than you can even handle unless you start doing canning and all that other stuff. But yeah, for the most part, yeah, you can just give it out and then people can donate if they want to. It's excellent. And that's another thing. Like, why aren't we planting like fruit trees and berry bushes everywhere? Like let's fill up all this land with some fruit trees and some actual food, We don't even have to do anything to them. They're perennials, They're always going to come back.
Yeah.
I have food.
I love the whole idea of guerrilla gardening and taking, cuttings of trees and, grafting them in strategic locations in a city, or just going out and planting little gardens in different places, maybe people's yards that are acceptable to that or receptive to that. And I mean, there's lots of different options to get out there, and places where there might be some food deserts to do some kind of activism like guerrilla gardening, and just go out there and plant a fruit tree and GPS tag the location, and once it grows up, then people will know that there's some food they can gather there.
I didn't even know you could do that. You can GPS locate it to where people can see it.
Yeah, you should look up the guerrilla gardening movement. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I know, like, what got me into gardening first was James Corbett doing his guerrilla gardening video. And yeah, but I didn't even realize there's a guerrilla gardening movement, actually. Holy hell.
Yeah, that was probably one of the most. That was probably one of the coolest ideas I heard at Anarchadelphia. Was Clive DeCarl got up there and gave one of his in his workshop. He gave, he kind of uses his health workshops, and then he likes to kind of share some of his ideas at the end of it. And one of his ideas says just like, if everybody in the community, in all communities, in all the cities, they got together, and it doesn't even take a big group of people, but a small group of people that decide to talk to their neighbors in their community and start strategically planting food throughout the cities, then you have an abundance of food for even the homeless and for people that are out in the streets and stuff like that. And you can really shorten your supply chain on the whole food aspect of things, and build communities. So that was a great, I really resonated with what he had to say there for that. It would be a really great, form of activism that is kind of covert.
Yeah, yeah, like you wouldn't even think you're doing that much, I'm not making that much of a difference. I just planted a tree or a couple of trees around, but yeah, give it some time. And yeah, that's a big impact. That's a lot of fruit. It's a lot of food right there, given time.
Yep. And, just, I think just one of the big things is that just to just get more knowledge out there on, definitely about how to grow food. And one of the big ones that everybody could do is just start to grow potatoes. Those are one of the most calorie dense things that you can grow, especially if you're seeing what's happening with the food shortages and things that are happening around the country. Farm workers are being told to shut down meat processing factories, things like that, and then migrant workers are getting said that they're going to spread COVID and all this kind of stuff. So
they're saying that.
Yeah, they're talking about having to shut down the migrant workers because they might be spreading COVID or something.
Oh, I thought the migrant workers themselves were saying, "Hey, we're going to spread COVID." It's like, what? Why would you say that?
No,
I was going to say, what the hell?
No. But yeah, I mean, you just have a lot of these processing plants and the food supply chain disrupted because restaurants had to shut down and all that stuff. And so, you've had lots of crops that were just getting dumped. There's Idaho potato farmers up there in Idaho that had to just dump a ton of potatoes into just a giant pit because there was nowhere for them to go, and, suffering huge losses for that. So, these things are happening, and a lot of people are kind of still in la land about all this because it's not getting shown on the mainstream news. You really got to kind of look at the alternative media. Ice Age Farmer is a really good guy to go check out about the whole news situation on the food supply.
Oh, nice.
And
perfect.
All this is happening while these guys are talking about creating lab-made meats and food from proteins from cockroaches, and wanting everybody to eat only plant-based diets and things like that. And so they're promoting this whole kind of move away from the agriculture and raising livestock and things like that, but they want to bring in their, I would call it almost like just engineered food system. And I really don't want to be eating crickets every day.
Yeah, like I understand with like crickets and things like that, like other parts of the world, it's got protein, it's got other things in it, but like for us in the United States, it is kind of but with cockroaches, I'm not sure what the hell they're doing with that. Like that's like, if they're genetically doing something, that's just ridiculous. Like if people want to eat a cockroach, whatever, but like,
yeah.
because I remember in like 2016, I watched those documentaries, Zeitgeist. Like they had Zeitgeist, Zeitgeist Addendum, and Zeitgeist Moving Forward, and it was
Yeah.
talking about a resource-based economy. And from there, I started getting more into technology, seeing how like at least politics is just BS, you know. And but yeah, then I was getting more into technology and stuff, and I heard about like one of them. I forgot what it's called, like Happy. I forgot what it's called, but it's got like a chicken as like their emblem. But yeah, they're doing like the genetic meat, the lab grown meat. And I remember being like, oh yeah, it's a great idea. You know, it's like I had no idea like the actual like things behind the scenes and the actual agenda that they're trying to push in terms of like the lab produced meat and all that crap.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain nutrients that are in grass-fed animals that you really don't get, I guess, if from these industrial meat or industrial raised cows and stuff that are fed on grain.
Grain, yeah, which is
And so
doesn't make sense.
so you get the vitamin K2 from grass-fed animals, which is really good for your bone health and your hair and collagen, building collagen in the body and stuff like that. And so, you know, who knows if they're going to have all that in these types of lab grown stuff and all this, uh, I think I'm just like you. I kind of think it's kind of neat. Maybe we could get to a point where it's like Star Trek replicator kind of stuff where you kind of rearrange atoms and it can have all the good stuff in it and all that stuff. But yeah, I really think, there's a lot of great benefits to getting your hands in the dirt and getting into the soil. And it just kind of helps. I think it's something that human beings, we're kind of designed to do that kind of stuff. We're meant to,
Yeah.
work the earth and be a part of the earth. And I think we're, that kind of stuff kind of drives us further away from our humanity. And so, there's just some things that, I really don't, while I like the idea of technology, I am, really want to maintain connected to my humanity. So I think technology is good and it can be used for good and evil. And, the way things are going, I think it's kind of a misdirected use of technology where it's, and there's not a lot of people asking really ethical questions about what they're creating. A lot of it's going towards different forms of artificial intelligence to, this whole deep fake thing is kind of weird where you can kind of create realistic looking people that could even be your news anchor that's on the TV. So, who knows? I mean, they can just basically create a totally false world. I mean, and they do. If you're watching mainstream television, you're getting a whole different view of reality that's not the truth.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're already being given a false reality. But yeah, where can that go? I mean, you could fake all kinds of things, and people could perceive it as reality. So yeah, where it's going, I really don't like the direction that a lot of these technologies are going, and think that a solution to it is to become self-reliant and not be dependent on those external systems. Because if you're dependent on an external system, then you're more likely to be controlled.
Yeah. Exactly. Simple. Yeah, I don't want to make this too long. I think it's probably already over an hour. I'm not sure, but yeah, if you want to give people your channel name and any ways of contacting you, where they can find your stuff.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me, Nick.
Pleasure,
and
man.
yeah, man. You can find me on YouTube. I'm under the Tinker Tribe. It's all one word, the Tinker Tribe. And then you can find me on Hive, hive.blog / at Makin stuff. It's just like, you're making something. It's like making stuff, but you just take out the G, making stuff. And then, yeah, I'm on Twitter at Greg Make Stuff. And those are the main places that you can find me for now.
All right, perfect. Yeah, and just send me those links just so I can have like your exact like hive / and then I'll be able to post that in the description as well. So that'll just make it easier for everyone. But yeah, man,
no
let's
problem.
please do this again. Like I've been wanting to do this since September, you know, and like I haven't even something as simple as a Zoom call. Like it was nothing to it, you know, and it's like, just like you said, those small little wins. I came home, I ate a little bit, and we just did this, you know, and I feel better about it. Now I just got to upload it. So yeah,
Hell
man, it
yeah,
was great
brother.
talking to you. And let's keep in touch, and yeah, just keep me updated. I want to talk to you again. Let's maybe even add someone else on here too. I think it would be just awesome.
Yeah, man, no problem. Anytime. And yeah, just give me a holler. And yeah, thanks for having me. And yeah, we'll keep in touch, man.
All right, take care. I'll be talking to you.
All right, brother.
All right, bye.
Have a good one.